What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wes Grant. You're watching Sub Urban Nerd. This channel will get my nerd views. On today's nerd news, also do video game reviews now. In today's video game I'm going to be reviewing is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the remake. Anyways, if you guys haven't seen, well, I haven't done that many reviews, but if you guys haven't seen like my movie reviews, which is I'm kind of gonna put it like, it's pretty much I give my pros, I give my cons, I give a grade, you guys like, subscribe, so on and so on. But this is a game that pretty much came really fast right after the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out last year, which actually back in the day the Resident Evil 2 game the next year I believe was Resident Evil 3, so sort of the same kind of vibe or kind of thing they're going for. But anyways, let's just get into it. The pros. The first thing I'm gonna say is the visuals and the sound is amazing. The visuals, like, they made it look better than the Resident Evil 2 remake from last year, which that already, like, that blew people away. When people saw the remake and saw Leon, like, it just blew everybody away, right? So coming into this, not expected, you know, it's not so unexpected to see the visuals get updated or get bumped up a little bit more than what they were last year. So that's my first thing. Visually, game looks amazing, looks beautiful. As dark as the world is, it definitely looks beautiful. My pro number 2, control. The control is pretty much the same kind of setup controls that they had from the Resident Evil 2 remake from last year. So it's pretty much a third-person view. So I love that because I don't like how the old Resident Evil was. Like, everyone else loves it, but I don't like the whole pressing up to go forward even if you're coming down the hallway towards yourself. It throws me off. And then right is left, left is right, invert. I hate invert in general. I hate invert controllers, and when you have it set to up is always forward, it'll mess you up, especially me. I don't know about anybody else, but that's what it is. So the controls, still good, still tight, except for a little bit of wonkiness when you're throwing grenades, because they tend to sometimes go higher, so they'll hit off of something and fall back, which, you know, that happens, but that's my only thing. Alright, the next thing that's amazing, or kind of great, that they brought to us was in the original Resident Evil 3, Jill had this kind of like juke a little, but this is a straight up dodge, and if you hit it perfect, there's a slow motion where you can aim and like shoot things, which is definitely great, but also can make the game a little bit cheap. Like, you can dodge, but best believe they don't let you get away with everything when it comes to these zombies. But the dodge mechanic that they add into this is great with Jill. And then also they sort of have a dodge mechanic with Carlos, but except it's more like a shoulder check. And then if you do it perfect, you punch whatever straight up in the face and they go flying down, hit the ground, whether it's a boss, whether it's a licker, whether it's a hunter, any one of those things, it goes into kind of takes them down real quick. And yeah, with Jill, with Carlos, it's really good. Good thing that they added that in. The next thing I like is the personality, character personality. They really delved into these characters and showed you, like, they were kind of caricatures in a Resident Evil 3 game. You know, it's like they weren't really important. Carlos was a joke or whatever, but now he's sort of like a wise ass, sort of like a Keanu Reeves in a like Speed kind of thing. So I definitely like this Carlos. I like Carlos, like the moment where he says, I don't know if he says in demos, but I'm not gonna leave you in a Carlos-less world. Like, you know, I liked his personality. I liked him. He was very likable, and all the characters, even Nikolai, like, he was definitely, he was an asshole. They definitely made you feel like, yo, this is a jerk. He's a jerk, and you want to punch him in the face. You know, Jill, she was like, you know, those hard ass kind of females that don't really take nothing from nobody. And I liked her. Her personality was nice, and the relationship between her and Carlos growing, I definitely like the character build on that. The leading into Carlos, he's probably one of my best part of this video game, other than the shooting or whatever, because with his guns you can sort of clear out a room, but at the same time these zombies are sponges, but that'll be in the cons or whatever. But Carlos himself, I definitely liked what they did with him. I like how they brought him to life in this video game. So going on to the next pro, which is the Nemesis. Nemesis looks awesome. He's so intimidating. Like, Mr. X. Mr. X was intimidating. He's like the little brother of Nemesis. Nemesis, when he rolls up, you're like, holy shit, gotta get out of here. That's pretty much what it is. And he looks amazing. The whole design, from the first time I saw the design, I was like, yo, they got this, and it looked awesome. The next pro is terrifying moments. When you're like, I forget what those things are, but when you're going down those things come down from above, grab your face and go in your mouth or whatever, or even those things in the sewer where they it's like these big open mouth things that just walk and they eat you whole, or where there's the zombies. The whole thing is terrifying. These zombies come out of nowhere. It scare the crap out of you, and that's what you come to this game for. You come to it to be scared. The next pro, I guess you could say, is partly with that, which is gross. The gross factor is definitely upped in this because in Resident Evil 2 definitely had some gross moments or whatever, the remake. In Resident Evil, it's definitely known, like Resident Evil 7. Oh my god, there was gross moments. In this movie, not movie, but this game, there is definitely some gross moments, especially with those insects that crawl around and they put them things down your throat. Don't even think about it. It's just nasty to think about, but that's pretty much one of the things. And then my last, but not least, the notes. The notes, I gotta say, is probably the best contribution to this video game remake, because you really feel for these people, like what they're saying, like this and that, like the family, Jim, he just lost his job, like he's been talking about things, but hopefully, like the whole notes, you feel like this world's really alive, and you feel like, like you feel bad for these people. You're like, oh man, you're saying, and then you look, you're like, oh, the dead body, I guess he didn't make it out of here. So you definitely, and then there's definitely some funny notes where these guys, like, like close to the end was like, any zombies come up, you give them the finger, which is like the big gun at the end. And that was, I liked that a lot. So the notes were probably one of the other highlights besides Carlos that I liked in this video game that they upped. Now on to the cons. I'm gonna try and go through them because I don't want to delve and make it like the cons are the most important part, but okay, I'm gonna try and go through fast. Alright, my first con, Nemesis. No, visuals. The visuals, as good as they are, there are glitches, and you might have to tweak the settings because some of the reflections might start flickering out or whatever. So I don't know if it's like upscaling or something like that, but you might want to check that because there are some glitches in these things, like someone, like a zombie falling in and between something just like shuddering, because these things, the frame rate is like 120. If you're on a PC, you're running at 140 or whatever, so you're looking at a high frame rate. But like I said, there may be some glitches. Number 2, Nemesis won't kill Jill, no matter how many times, and granted, that's what it is with the games, but with the high-def graphics and everything just seeming so realistic, it's so unrealistic for him to grab the tongue, drag her over, and don't do nothing for like a good 5 seconds, or like just like he's just shooting or whatever, or whenever he gets her, like at some point he grabs her off the ladder, lifts her up with his hand, where everybody else, he's pretty much just crushed their heads, but with her, for some reason, he's just toying around with her, and I need to go back into the lore and find out a little bit more, but it's so unrealistic when he has so many chances to kill her, and he just doesn't, to toy around, and then she gets a fighting chance. That's one thing that's throwing me, like, either grab her, throw her somewhere or whatever, but don't hold her up, look at her, then toss her down, and then go on to do the fight scene or whatever, You jump in, kill her, or you trying to attack her or whatever. And once you get her, kill her. Like, that's what it should be. That, like Mr. X, that's what it was. Alright, now, the next thing is the cutscenes, right? There were so many cutscenes where you wish you were actually just playing. You're like, why are they showing this to me? Why can't I just play this? In Resident Evil 3, the original, like, you could go through these things. You're just skipping past this to go to the next scene. I want to play. I want to play the game. Don't show me these scenes, just let me play. But I don't know why. I don't like the development. I don't know if it was because they're rushing to do this, but it just made no sense why they didn't let you play these moments instead of like doing cutscenes straight through, like in the beginning with the car and stuff like that, and trying to run like or Carlos showing up shooting, like just so many things. Next, we're gonna go lip sync. Audio, great, but when they're talking, the lip sync is off. Like, you don't see, like, you look at their lips and it's not going according to what they're saying. That's just one thing. Going on to the next one, I don't want to dwell on that too much. Next one is the continuity of this game. It tries to connect itself with last year's, but then like you go to the police station where when you go in there, everything is closed off and it's only Marvin really left. And so you're wondering, okay, all these doors that I can't go through that are blocked, did Marvin, after getting bit, like somehow just unmove all these things? Because when you show up there with Leon and and what's her name? See, like you're not, you can't, there's no way how these things could be open when you go in there in Resident Evil 2, but yet they're closed. And then there's bodies moved in different ways and different things are locked, and you're going into safes. You're like, wait, if this safe was open, how is there stuff? Like, how is there things in these things in Resident Evil 2 if you're taking them out in Resident Evil 3? So that's one thing, continuity was throwing me off. The next con, because I'm not even numbering it, just going through. The next con is these damn zombies. The BS-ness of these zombies is crazy. It's like they know they see the Matrix, because you'll be shooting at them, and granted, it was like that in the first one, in Resident Evil 2 Remake. You know, it's like, you go to aim, boosh, 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 boosh. Like, it's like they see the Matrix, and they're just dodging these things. Like, thought you're gonna get me. And you're just like, what's going on here? And then they're sponges. When I say they're bullet sponges, it's like, good lord, there's actually one that you can't kill. The faceless one. He heals from everything. You know? And it's like these zombies are cheap. You be shooting them, they go down, you cut them with a knife, and before you could cut them with the knife and they end. But no, this time you be cutting, they'll get up, cutting, and then they'll jump on you. You be cutting, all of a sudden they just jump off the ground onto your leg, and you can't do nothing about it. Which leads me into the next con, the button smash. What's the point of pressing these buttons if it doesn't get them off of you? It prompts you to press a button or hold a button, whatever you gotta do to get these zombies off of you, and they never get off of you. They always take a big ass bite or a chunk out of you. If you're gonna put in a button smashing moment, let me get the F away from the mother effing zombies. That's all I'm asking. Don't have me pressing these buttons thinking that I might be able to get away with this without a scratch from the zombie, and the zombie still take the chunk out of it. Just, no, I don't want it. Next con is with Nemesis. Nemesis, as good as he is, he's not like Mr. X. Mr. X, he gave you anxiety because he always heard him walking around do. Granted, with all the stuff that Nemesis has, it'd be crazy to try and have to do the board, but at least that would, like, this is like a prompt. Like, it's always like a trigger. Like, all of a sudden he pops up for this scene, doom, you get away from him, then he's gone. You get into the room, gone. You don't have to worry. And I can understand getting into a safe room, but have him go through the whole game. If you're gonna make this and implement this, have it go, because it just doesn't make sense for you to hype him up like he's the next Mr. X, and he does nothing except for when he shows up, and he shows up for the moment, you get away from him, and you don't have to worry about him again. It would have been awesome if he was still going through like Mr. X. The next problem that's sort of going with Mr. X is the boss battles suck. They're too simple. They're too trivial. Like, they don't seem very elaborate. Like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Like, the first time you fight him, it's very easy. On the roof with the flame, it's very easy. Shoot the thing. If you have grenades, whatever, and he can go down. Like, granted, you throw one grenade, boom, he goes down, and then you can get a lot of those weapon attachments you can add to him when you see him in the beginning of the game. But like the boss battles, nothing. And then the next one where he's like this cheetah thing running around, they don't tell you how you can take him down until, like, all of a sudden, like, you're like, why I'm trying to shoot him while he's running around, it's not working, and then they don't help you with that. But the next then the final, like, the final ones, it's like they just throw a bunch of zombies at you while you're fighting him when he's running around. And then the final one, it's like, it's really simple. You can just shoot him, push those things in, shoot him, laser, and it's done. So the only reason that would be hard is most likely all the other zombies or something like that. But with the dodge mechanic, you can really just take advantage to get away from them. The next one is the game feels short. You can beat this game in like 5 hours on your first try. And you could have sworn that the Resident Evil 3 from the original is just bigger. It seems like this one's smaller, but at the same time it lags, and it lacks like the intensity and joy, because as short as it is, it seems like it drags on. Like when you get to the hospital and stuff, you're going backtracking with Jill, backtracking with Carlos in this little small area, and you're like, what's going on here? And then the final thing, my final con, is this wasn't even made by Capcom. They outsourced it to M2. So Capcom made the last one. This one wasn't made by Capcom, so you can definitely feel the heart that was missing from this. That's probably why it just wasn't as good as the last year's remake, RE2. Now, I'm gonna go quickly with the Resistance. Resistance, it's kind of fun. They had this online multiplayer where you were the bad guy last year, I believe, or the year before, and that was pretty fun. And this is sort of the same kind of thing, but you can play as any of the major bad guys in the Resident Evil franchise, and it's more fun to play. That's like Left 4 Dead or whatever, in a way, where you're the people running around. You can get all these tools, kind of build these things, but then you have a main guy, and that is pretty fun. But you know, it all depends on what you're in for. So I think all in all, if I had to give this video game a grade, I would have to give it a C+, because though the visuals are great, graphics are great, it does have a fun factor, but it doesn't make you want to go back to it. Unless you're a real hardcore fan of Resident Evil to get the skins and play through the skins, but this isn't a game that you can see yourself going back to over and over like last year's Resident Evil 2. So that's pretty much my review for this game. I gave you all the pros, all my cons, and if you feel the same way, comment down below and let me know, because that's just how I feel. So remember to subscribe, check out my last video game review, and check out my playlist of reviews. And remember, I'm Wes Grant. You've been watching Sup Urban Nerd, and you've just been Nerdfied. Catch you guys on the next review.